Hi there, welcome to Ambition to Impact, the podcast where we're talking about elements of behavior and, and personality that will help you excel in your tech and finance career. So, my name is Alexandra Bombannett. Hello, how are you? And happy new year to you. I'm super excited to be starting this new year despite having gone through a huge series of emotions. There's been lots of things going on behind the scenes in the last year, and it can be really overwhelming. It can be exhausting. I think we've learnt a lot about energy and what part that plays in how we can be excellent or excel in our roles and actually have a career, have a job that really makes you feel good. And that seems to come across a lot because we're now working over different time zones more than before, especially if you weren't used to working kind of on a in global teams. Usually we are now working different time scales. The boundaries have leaked everywhere, and also we're not used to doing the things you're doing. And I'll share with you my story. In I'm definitely someone who gets their energy from being around other people, and so it's been a struggle for me this year to get that sense of energy. And actually something I really started doing towards the end of last year as I was kind of working with my coach in terms of making sure I had the right level of energy and I was getting everything done that I needed to do, and not getting that kind of, when every day is the same, it can make you feel very tired, lethargic, and we call this languishing, this kind of space between where we're okay but something's not quite right. And so one of the things I've been doing, I'm a morning person. I get lots, if I do things in the morning, I'm very energetic if I wake up early. So I did start waking up earlier, having some time to myself, either going out for a walk, going to the gym, making sure I was doing something where I was moving, because otherwise I'd be sat here in my office and not moving at all and not doing anything and well, on the computer, being on Zoom, things like that. And so my body, I need to move and get around. And actually before the pandemic, it's something I used to do a lot because I used to do a lot of public speaking and trainings and traveling and things like that. So it was a very different shift for me energetically. And I wonder if that's the same for you, whether you're in a desk job, working from home. Now that we've been doing this for nearly 2 years, how's that going for you? How's that affecting your energy? And actually, when are you at your very best? Now, today, what I'm going to do is we're going to be talking over the next few weeks about your how you're going to excel, and this is not just these are the ways to excel, but how you personally excel. Because one thing I very much believe is that every personality is different and environments affects us differently. And if we have a greater awareness of that, of those unique motivations, unique abilities, then we have a huge chance at not only understanding other people and having more effective relationships, but actually bringing the best out of ourselves as well. So you're going to see a series. We're going to up the podcast now. We're going to start getting in a more regular format. We're going to hear some really exciting guests that I've got booked on who are going to talk about all types of different things to help your career really fly and get on track. So if you've got anything that you would like to hear about in particular, then do send me a message. You can find me on LinkedIn, which is I'm under Alexandra Bombannett, or under Ambition to Impact. Also, you can find me on Instagram, same name, and Ambition to Impact. And also send me an email if you'd like. So you can get me at alex@speakingambition.com. Okay, so today we're going to talk about five ways that you can really boost your career this year, and five things that you can do to work on yourself that will boost your EQ. So you'll be a more emotionally intelligent leader. You'll have higher EQ points. It will actually raise your EQ. Also, you'll have greater leadership presence, greater confidence, and you will have better abilities at managing conflicts and dealing with negotiation and those kind of things. And also feel really comfortable public speaking and doing that engagement piece. Okay, so this is what's going to help you personally really excel. The 5 points. Number one is self-awareness. Now, I used to do a lot of presentation training, public speaking training. And the thing is, you can learn all the techniques. Now, I went to drama school, so I spent a good, well, actually, overall, because I did a diploma before as well. So I did 6 years of training. And not only that, I used to be a singer as well. And so all through school, I'd be learning to use my voice, how to have that stage presence, how to learn about speed and timbre and using my voice or using sound for effect to have that. So it's taken, I've done a lot of professional work on that. Traditionally, I was actually a very shy child. It's something that comes and you can build that technique, but the quickest way to build that technique is to really work on your self-awareness. Listen to your own voice. And this isn't just about the external influence and impact that you have. It is about learning more about what happens with you. And think about this. If everyone had that developed self-awareness in the workplace, in an organization, if they're a bit more aware about how they interacted with other people or how you react to different situations, like what are your trigger points, what different personalities do you get on with, which ones do you get friction with, who do you have difficult conversations with, who is it really easy for you to have a conversation with. It's all of those things that help you learn more about you. But if you work on those blind spots, and we all have them, then we work to develop better communication, better influence, stronger confidence, sense of self. And then things like the external things like public speaking and presenting, that becomes a huge amount easier because you're so grounded in who yourself, you have that gravitas, and you also have that understanding about how your voice, your personality affects other people, and you can watch out for things in a meeting. Case in point, I've worked with people on my accelerator program, and while they're going through meetings, so we do weekly coaching, and so they go to work, and if they're having meetings and they're having presentations and these are high status events, and they come back in and say, oh gosh, this did not go well, they were quite aggressive, we weren't prepared, there was things they'd been told that I hadn't been updated on, and that can be a very stressful environment to deal with. Now, first of all, if you know how you deal with being caught on the back foot, if you know how you feel, if you feel intimidated, or you're feeling like, oh, this is a bad place, and you've got that negativity coming in, the first thing you can do is recognize it and then adapt to go and find a method that works for you to make sure that you are going to still remain in an effective and confident stance for the rest, and then pull it back. It also helps you look at the people in the room and to go, right, yes, this is how I'm going to deal with that person. I'm going to speak in a different way to this person. We are going to bring it all together for a much more effective outcome. So self-awareness is about so many things. It's about how you deal with stress. It's about how you deal with your own levels of self-confidence. It's about what affects you massively. And it's also about where you show up as your best, as your very best. So doing some work on that is the foundation layer, I would say, to confidence, to influence, to impacting, to being a great manager, to being a superior leader. Because again, once you recognize all of those in you, then that's like the 101, and then that's when you start to go, I see what's happening in this situation, and I see what's happening for that person right now, and suddenly things open up. And it's difficult with self-awareness because, well, we all think we're self-aware to a level, and there has to be a level of humility where we step back and go, there's something I don't know about myself. What is that? And one of the best pieces of advice I was ever taught, being a coach or a trainer as a leader, was by one of my superiors when I was in one of my last employed roles. And they say, if someone is not doing what you want them to do, don't get angry at that person. If you're a manager and you've given instruction and someone's not doing that, you've got to check you. You said it wrong. He was blunt. He said, if they're not doing what you do, you said it wrong. So really check. It helps you reflect back, check the way that you communicated something, check the way that that information was delivered, and be hyper efficient as you move forward. That's number one. Number two is really focused on having what I called allied relationships. And that means that whoever you're communicating with, you are identifying ways to make sure that the conversation is always focused on what unites you, on the common ground. We talk about this in negotiation. I've actually just been reading through Chris Voss's, who is the FBI negotiator, book. And I love this because he talks about tactical empathy, and it's exactly that. Now, the first step of this is realizing that to have a great relationship with someone and to have good stakeholder relationships is that you don't have to agree with them to empathize with them. Empathy is about understanding where someone is coming from whilst remaining in your own point of view. You can do that, and that's what trips us up. We feel that sometimes if we empathize, we have to agree with someone. And I strongly feel about this because this isn't just a work thing. This is a global thing now. We have so many conversations where they're very polarized. A lot of conversations and marketing, things like that on in the world right now are to get you to take a stance, a yes or no, a right or wrong, a left or right, and not understand and take time to think about where the other is coming from. Now, in a career point of view, it might be that you are having a conversation with someone, or you're working on a project, or you're working with something, could be a client, any type of stakeholder, even if you're pitching for investment or something like that. The two of you in the room for a reason. So first of all, think about that. What are you there for? What did you show up for? You know why you did, but you can get a pretty strong idea of why they did. Now, it's hard because I don't like assumptions, but take as much evidence as you can about their situation and why they're there, and really try to understand their point of view and what they're coming from. And then you can use that tactical empathy. You can negotiate, you can deal with conflict in conversations, you can deal with difficult conversations. You can have much stronger relationships if you come from it at that standpoint. I'll be talking about presentations and conversations later on in another episode, and excuse me. And I talk about the mentor mindset, which really helps you get into it's not about me mode. And it's great for conversations. It's great to get you out of your own head. And it's a technique that's very, very simple, but very, very powerful. I will share that with you in a different episode, so you have to stay tuned. So that's number two. Number three is this is the one that actually blows things up a lot of the time. If you've had this sense that something's missing, you're getting irritable, things aren't working for you in your job, you're getting grumpy with people, and just something, just you can't quite put your finger on it, but something's just not quite right. You're not feeling this sense of I really want to show up today, or feel like you're always butting your head against the wall, that kind of thing. And I say that because many of my clients have experienced this. And this number three is because something doesn't align with values. Now, this has become a huge talking point because values should be at the center of any culture. And culture has, it's one of the big issues in the Great Resignation, as they're calling it now, is that people are leaving. They realize, wow, this pandemic has changed what I stand for, what I value in life, and I'm not getting that where I am. So values is the number one reason why my clients change. That is when they have this epiphany of, oh my gosh, that's it. And then this has happened. People have gone through my program or gone through coaching with me and gone, oh, I'm not happy here. In fact, I'd say most, and then we work on what you do want and and who aligns with that as well. So if we do career coaching and things like that, it's often about, right, who out there, what company out there fits with you, delivers on all of these things that matter to you, and what you need as well. So it's not just about values, what you find inherently strong, what matters to you above all else. And it doesn't mean that you're steadfast, but it means that things that you're drawn to. So one good exercise to help you really think about your values is to open your phone up and flick through your reading history. So whether you've got Audible or whether you've got or your podcasts, for instance, it tells you a lot about you, the type of content that you listen to. So think about that and have a look through that. Look through the last few magazine titles, articles that you read as well, and think, why did I click on that title? What interested me? What was powerful? What were the last books that you read? It's a really good way to really look at what matters to you. And that also is a source of much conflict in your life. So when you experience conflict, you experience annoyance or anger, it's because something's not sitting right with you. And I've had this. So loyalty for me can be a big one, and also generosity. And so I feel very powerfully about loyalty to people and my relationships, and also feel very powerfully about not generosity as in like giving money or things, but generosity of attention and generosity of time and space. And even to the point where and I think I've talked about this before, but if someone is speaking to you in a performance or in a conference or something like that, they're standing up there. They are being generous to you by sharing the information. So there's a reciprocity, if that makes sense. So what matters to you? What gets to you? And often when you find conflict, if you dig down, this is a useful tool. I use this as well with kind of high stakes conversations, is that actually if you dig down and use certain questions to help you understand someone else's values when it comes to, say, a situation. So it might be that you value accuracy, someone else values the relationship of the stakeholder or time, and those two are having a clash. But at the end of the day, you both want to do a good job. It's the middle value, is the connecting value. So it's important. So that understanding that will help you really step into and excel in your whole life, to be honest, as well as your career. And that's the thing which makes you realize what most important to you, what parts of the job you're excellent at, what is holding you down, and also what issues, if any, with relationships that you have, or what's holding you back from really being at that full potential that you have. Number 4. Number 4 is it's the way you express ideas and the way that you engage, and that is the technical elements. It's your presentation skills, it's your speaking skills, it's the way that you show the way that you empathize, it's the tactics you use with different personalities. Do you speak fast? Do you speak slow? Do you need a minute to gather your thoughts? Does someone else need a minute to gather their thoughts before they get involved? Have a think about that. And then the last one, wrapping all of that one up, is that all of these things, knowing, so I'll just go over the last 4, being self-aware and working on that self-awareness, working on your relationships, managing those relationships effectively, and understanding different personalities, knowing what matters to you, what your values are, what you need from your life, from your job, from someone else, and being able to effectively articulate and influence and connect ideas, especially when you're dealing with technical data, I might add. So telling stories with numbers and data, all of those need to be productive. They need to be effective. And so number 5 is all about your habits and having those effective success habits and what makes you at your best. So it links right back to being self-aware. When you're self-aware, you know what works for you. You know when you get more energy, you know what depletes your energy. You're prioritizing things like having breaks to be more productive later. But you are attaching habit stacking. You're able to attach things to things that you do love to do. So it might be, it's simple things like exercising and listening to your podcast at the same time. But also, if you hate doing a certain part of your job, there's some tedious element. So let's think about I'll transfer this domestically. I'm not a hugely domestic person, and one thing I really hate doing is things like changing bedding and hanging up clothes and things like that. But if you can tag that into something, I mean, if you can't delegate it, then if you find habits where it reinforces it, so it might be tying it into the time of day where you're happiest, these things then create bigger neural pathways. So habits is all about building up things. It takes 21 to 66 days to build a new habit, and it's easier if you attach it to something that's positive. And the reason is because neuroplasticity, so that means that we can always learn new things, we can develop new habits, new techniques, and keep going. But you have to have that repetition, and you have to tie it to a positive point, because that's the chemicals in your brain. It's neuroscience in terms of the chemicals. So happy thoughts, you've got the reward chemicals, you've got dopamine, you've got serotonin. Those ones are what help forge in or carve in the new neural pathways. Having habits that work for you. And I'll give you some examples. Some of my clients, they just need a bit of time to prepare, but you don't have a lot of time to prepare for meetings and being at your best in presentations. And if you're flagging, you're feeling tired, or you've just had a bad session just now, you're feeling irritated, or whatever negativity, you don't want to take that into a meeting. You don't want to take that into to something, because it could affect everything. And we're realizing how much your personal impact does affect people. So a lot of clients that I work with, they end up developing their very own way preparation tool that works with their energy, that works with their physique and their physicality, works with their mindset, that gives them like a 10 or 5 minute boost, or even we've even done a 1 minute. So boom, they're in the go, because that boosts your muscle memory, and it means that, right, I'm now ready. I am ready to go, which is much like the Amy Cuddy power pose. If you've listened to that, our brains can influence our body, but our body can also influence our brains. So those are the 5 ways that you can, if you work on these, you will absolutely excel. As it happens, we work on all of these in my Personal Impact Accelerator program, and the next dates are on the website. So we're actually got a February cohort. It's starting in February. If you would like more information, then get in touch or check out the website, which is speakingambition.com, and you'll find the accelerated details there. You can also take the brand new scorecard, which is called Excel Yourself and Excel Your Career Scorecard, which I updated over Christmas. I used all of the data from the accelerator last year and the participants and things that came up to create this scorecard to give you personalized measurements. And that's free. You can use that, and you can use that with your team as well. I've popped into a PDF of some free coaching questions when you get the results, and that's there for you. So guys, have a great one. We've got some exciting events coming up as well, and not just on the podcast. Do invite people. I'd love you to invite people to listen, to subscribe to the show, so we can get the message out there and help other people as well. And also, if you do enjoy this, please do leave a review. That would be great. Okay, everyone, thank you so much, and take care. Goodbye.